of this cinnamon. It's worth it, let me work it. I put my thing down, flip it and reverse it. It's her.
Guests of honors and all the guests present here for coming down and spending some of the time with us. DOTNET, which was once started off with few members, is now a group which has expanded and is around 1200 plus members online. And students from various engineering colleges, around 52 engineering colleges are a part of us. DOTNET is a group which looks forward to share and learn technology. And finally, I think the whole event is filled with fun and technology at the same time, and I hope you're going to enjoy and have fun. Thank you.
While we're looking for the bouquets, let me tell you something about the .NET user group of Hyderabad students. This is a group which was started last December to help students to share and gain and know more about technology. We have lots of user group meets where a part of the .NET user group of Hyderabad join right now. We seem to have found the bouquets now. I request Mr. Rohit Kumar, Vice President and Chief Operations Officer, Global Energy Utilities Practice Executive, to go on to the days and receive the bouquet.
आता है यार लाइट डाल के रखना है
Then we request Mr. Our next guest. Mr. Srini Kopulu, General Manager, Microsoft India Development Center. Mr. Kopulu.
Wow, this is amazing. I've never seen so many students in one place. It's fantastic. I moved here about 6 years ago, and since then one of my ambitions, dreams is to communicate with you guys about lessons we learned while working in a software development organization, especially a company like Microsoft. And of course, this is the first time we're able to get so many people in one place, and I thank the DOTNET for organizing this. This is a fantastic event, and I want to share with you guys a little bit of my experience in Microsoft. So the mission for Microsoft is about enabling people and businesses to achieve the results that they want to get. So one of the questions I want to ask you guys is, what comes to mind when you talk about software development? What is the word that comes to mind? Anyone? While I get my label mic. Please. Somebody shout. Okay, so that's true. Anything else? Yeah, right. So that's the first thing comes to your mind. When you talk about software development, you talk about coding. coding is the critical aspect of developing products, and but that's not the only thing. There are so many other attributes and aspects of being a successful software developer and to make a huge difference in building important products.
वहाँ से कुछ नहीं
So I call them, there are many other C's.
नहीं जी भाई
So one is the complexity. It's not good enough if you can write a few lines of code. It's about how can you deal with complex setup, programming problems, and if there is a huge project, how can you break it down into components and then design such a way that it can be become a group development project where you can interact with each other and build software modules which can get integrated and then deliver a final product or solution. So the complexity of dealing or managing this whole environment or complexity of doing a design of a big problem is an important attribute that people have to learn. The next aspect is communication. So one of the most important attributes to be a successful software professional. Communication is not about how fluently you can talk, how fast you can talk. It's about communicating the key points that you want to make precisely, crisply. So one of the key things that I observed is people have a tendency to start saying something and stopping in the middle and trying to justify what they're about to say with examples, so basically confusing the audience about what the key message they want to deliver. So communication is very, very critical, and we need to pay a lot of importance to this aspect. Then collaboration, as I was talking, in an industry, you don't do things on your own. You have to collaborate with many different people. It's teamwork, that's the most important thing. And when you talk about teamwork and collaboration, it's the question of getting together, planning ahead, designing things, componentizing things, and then defining interface contracts and building reusable modules. So, and then putting all that together and to build a world-class product. So collaboration is a critical attribute. Then as an individual, you have curiosity to ask the right questions. Why a specific thing is one way, done one way? Why can't it be done a different way? If you don't have that curiosity, the improvement will never take place in what we develop as products. So if you look at Microsoft products alone, like over the last 15, 20, 25 years, so they have evolved dramatically. So if you compare something that was developed 5 years ago to now, there'll be a huge difference. And of course, if you compare something which was developed 10 years ago, there's like a major shift even in the platforms and the way users interact and the kind of expectations users have on the products. So that curiosity helps you to do things better. Then of course, the most important thing is creativity. So coming up with new ideas, innovations, and looking at the existing problem set and coming up with new ways to do this things and then making a difference. Creativity is a critical attribute of a successful software professional. Finally, the most important thing is to have the capacity to learn. And then not only have the capacity to learn, utilizing that capacity to continue to learn. The one thing that can be guaranteed in the software industry is change. Nothing that stays today will be there 5 years from now. So they keep evolving, things keep moving, and that happens because of it's a virtuous cycle, it's a continuous feedback loop. You develop a product, you get customer feedback, you incorporate the feedback, you do things differently next version now. With the focus of how can I make customer experience of using my products better. So having this capacity to learn is the most important attribute, and on top after that, utilizing that capacity to continue to learn. So I want to share here my personal experience Why this is important? So I'm from Andhra Pradesh, and up to intermediate, I was a Telugu medium student. Okay, so I never learned any subject in English language. Still, I finished my intermediate. The first time I got exposed to English medium-based education was in an engineering college when I went to Andhra University. So the next thing, my engineering was in mechanical engineering. Okay, so I had fun, but so something was missing. So when I came, that's the first time the software industry is picking up. So I wanted to try computer science. So when I went to US, I did my master's in computer science. So obviously, because I have a mechanical engineering background, I need to do prerequisites like the foundation courses. So if a typical master's student needs to get 30 credit hours to get a master's degree, I needed to do 45 credit hours. So the first course was on networking in the first semester. So, but after the end of the semester, I learned some basic stuff in networking about protocols in local area networks. So what I noticed is there are two popular protocols at that time. Now it probably is only one. So Ethernet and token ring. So all the computer science people who did networking course, they must have heard these two. So Ethernet works well at low loads, token ring works well at high loads. So how can we have a model where a new protocol which can perform well no matter what the load is? So that's the curiosity made me start thinking that if we have these two models, how can we combine them together? So I came up with an idea of a new protocol, which then I created a simulation model for that, and then basically created a proposal and a paper which I published. So the whole, this inquisitiveness about how can we do something different, better, helped me lead to that. So I'm talking about a person with mechanical engineering background, just doing one semester in computer science, I was able to do that. So after graduating, joined Microsoft in '89. So within a year, I joined a group which developed component object model. You might have all heard about COM. So I was one of the designers for COM. So if you look at any software today, it will be using COM. So every application that you use, it is using COM. Every VB object that you use, it is using COM. Even the .NET foundations, fundamentals, or derivatives out of this COM. So we were able to make a difference to the whole industry. So with a background which is totally different from computer science, able to reach there because this curiosity, capacity to learn, and then utilizing that to learning. So that's the most important thing we look for when you hire a person into Microsoft. It's not about what all you learn, because the industry is so vast, the topics are so different, and no one knows everything. So the question is, and as I said, the industry changes. The question is does this individual has this ability to learn? And then is this individual is going to utilize that ability, capacity? So that's the key tenet that we look for. So now I want to spend a little bit of time on what I think are the core foundations to be a successful software professional. So you must be doing lots of courses in your 4 years of computer science, and one of the fundamental problems I noticed is you do coursework and then you write an exam based on that coursework and you get good grade and you think you're ready to become a great software professional. So the problem is unless you apply that knowledge, nothing sticks. So over 4 years, if you're going to do, I don't know how many courses you're going to do, let's say 5 a semester, 10 a year, so you'll probably, for 30 to 40 courses you're doing, nothing sticks. So what sticks is the four core foundations which can enable you to apply that knowledge to any domain. That's the most important thing. So that's the reason why I think these are the most important courses which the knowledge is core foundation for the software professionals. Data structures, using the right data structure, there's the right term, algorithms. So many people we ask in the interview, so do you know the order of the complexity? So do you know O of N notation? Many people don't even know what it means. So if the same problem can be solved with a n cubes or order of n cube solution to versus order of n, makes a huge difference. As the size of the data changes, the number of cycles that you're going to spend on executing that program are going to be tremendous. So using the right algorithm for the right problem is a critical skill. And knowledge of operating systems is very, very important. So without that, you will not be able to be successful. Compilers, it's a good idea about how the programming languages are built, or how the semantic trees are built. So that's again foundation course. And the new paradigm right now in programming is data-driven application development. So when I say that, what it means is, so you have a schema defined which is stored in a database, and then you design your user interface based on the schema. Schema, and then extract the data, and then apply visual manifestations to that data. So the whole industry is moving towards that data-driven programming model. So having a knowledge of databases, and then of course XML is like touching every fabric of software development. So XML is another critical thing to learn. And web services is like the next generation distributed network-based component software development. That's what web service is about. So you are basically designing an object which is platform agnostic, which can be leveraged by people, utilized by components which are again built probably on a different platform or the same platform. This whole programming model, the whole paradigm shift is taking place. So these are the core foundation courses. And I want all of you to think about how can you get strong knowledge developed in these foundation courses. So if you know one high-level programming language, that's good enough. We don't need to try to learn every possible language. So because the concepts are transportable. If you learn Java, you can apply to .NET. If you learn, C#. If you like C, if you learn C++, again you can take that forward into the C# level. So having one programming language, strong knowledge in that is a critical thing. But you don't need to spend too much time trying to learn many different programming languages. So another thing is integrated development environment. When I say that the short form IDEs. So that's so important to be successful in a professional organization because it increases your productivity dramatically. So having a knowledge of the tools is important. Of course, after you join a company, you can learn within a month or so. But still, while you are doing project work at school, at the engineering college, having this knowledge of the IDE is very important, and which can help you make progress much faster. Debugging skills. Again, another thing is, so debugging, you would think, okay, if I debug a small 5-line program, I got the skills. That's not true. So debugging a big project, debugging a multi-threaded program is a very important skill that you need to pick up. So I put multi-thread programming because of one reason. So because of complexity. When you have sequential flow versus multiple threads running at the same time and trying to synchronize, there's a big difference in two aspects. So unless you get your hands dirty, play with it, so you don't understand the complexities in doing a multi-thread programming language. So ultimately, finally, the most important thing is do a big project. You're not going to learn much out of that. Big project, group project is going to help you prepare for the industry so much, it will be unbelievable. So if you have this foundation, you'll be very successful when you go for an interview or in the job. And then, of course, going back to the previous slide, communication. Present yourself. Communication is so important. So even if you have all the knowledge, if you can't talk about it, if you can't present yourself properly, you won't be successful in the interview process. If somehow you get through the interview process, you can probably be successful in the company later. But to get to that, you should be able to communicate very precisely the key knowledge that you have And so, many of you are in the 4th year. I think we still have about 6 months time and utilize this time. So if you don't have a computer at home, buy it. This will be the most important investment that you can make. I don't know about the college infrastructure that is there today in the colleges in Andhra, anywhere in India for that matter. So I don't know how much time you can get with computers, but it's so important. So if you waste time now, then your whole career will be at stake. So buy a computer, install a development environment, pick a big project and do it. So that makes a whole big difference. It doesn't matter what all courses you learn, AI course, this course, that course. So it'll be good in the resume, but ultimately, once people start interviewing you, this is the focus. The foundations are the focus. So without the foundation, you will not be successful. So I cannot emphasize anything more on this. I would rather, I don't know what courses you have in the final semester, it will be worth dropping everything else. I don't know, the college allows it. I don't want to create trouble here, but it's so important to a big project. So now I want to touch a little bit on Microsoft, the core values, and so the key thing is by hiring the smartest people, by hiring the people who have the ability to learn, who have the ability to innovate. So we have reached this stage as a company. So we invest like $6.8 billion in R&D, and we have a huge development center in Hyderabad. And that's the only development center for India. So maybe you get confused, like there's one in Hyderabad, one in some other cities. No, here. So we have teams working on mobility. We have teams working on Windows, Office, and business solutions. So as a company, the key focus is how can I do integrated innovation? What it means is, if the platform is coming up with new innovative technology, WinFS is one of the good examples. Right? So how can the applications, business solutions, tools, everyone leverage that key new power of the platform and deliver an interesting overall comprehensive experience to the customer and businesses. That's the most important thing that's about integrated innovation. So otherwise, if Windows develops some new interesting feature, enabling feature, but no one leverages that, ultimately value is not reaching the customer. So we, as a company, we make big bets and based on those integrated innovation philosophy, we deliver the big value to consumers. No other company is in this position to make that happen. So if you look at Microsoft, it's like a software industry. You name a space in the software domain and we have a presence, we have a group, we have people innovating in those areas. And here are some of the examples. Real-time communication and then annotation and inking. So again, for countries like India, there are so many different languages, and then knowledge of a language is not that high. So, because if you look at India, not many people might know English language, but they might know their native language, local language. So, being able to enable people to do handwriting recognition and things like that in a local language is a very important problem that we have addressed. But overall, so the inking as a technology, as an user interface input is a critical area. So then collaboration of, it's a collaboration of teams in businesses and enabling that collaboration through various different communication media. It could be audio, video, and it could be like sharing, whiteboard kind of stuff. So overall, providing a rich experience in collaboration space is an important area that we are investing in. Business solutions is a huge place where with the focus on medium businesses and small businesses, we are making a lot of investments. Mobility is another big area. So this is one of the interesting things in India. Like we have, if you look at PC penetration, probably we have 13 million PCs overall installed base in India for a billion people population. But on the other hand, we have 35 million mobile devices penetration in India. And we have 40 million cable subscribers in India. So if there is a value that you individuals see, then that business opportunity explodes in India. The volume volume is the biggest advantage that India and China have as countries. So the question of for each one of these, us and many other companies, is to figure out where the opportunity is. So if you look at mobile devices and cable subscription, the whole explosion happened in the last 5 years. It is incredible. So in 5 years, we have like 35-40 million penetration, and it's going to go up further, big time. So when we do this, when we have users who may not be tech-savvy people, who may not understand what is the right thing, wrong thing to do. So as a software development organization who have developed products, they should not have expectations that users will do the right thing. To give an example, so you get an attachment in Outlook. You can expect the user to evaluate where it came from, is it safe or not safe, and do the right thing, whether click or not click. So from that point of view, we need to understand your audience and then design products to make them extremely secure. That is where we are putting a lot of our R&D investments, a lot of key smart people's time and efforts in trying to figure out how to make the products highly secure. So the overall, it bubbling up one more level is like providing the trustworthy computing experience. So the customers should trust Microsoft as a company to deliver products. So when you talk about trustworthy computing, there are many different aspects. Security is one of the aspects. Privacy. So the data, the information about individual, we should not be sharing with anybody else, protecting the privacy of the individual. And the data that they go to may expose to the computer or to the online systems anywhere. So across the board in the company, we give highest priority to privacy. So reliability is basically products just work, no matter how many months and for how long use they continue to work. So that is overall when you look at it. I buy this system and it is going to deliver me the value on a continuous basis. So being reliable is the critical aspect. So overall business integrity in the sense for corporate customers and everyone, so making sure that all the systems that are deployed, which are interconnected, they continue to work highly in reliable fashion. So finally, I just want to touch upon the aspect of community. How powerful that concept is. So this is a great, perfect, fantastic example of community and the kind of difference the community can make. So for the first time, we are able to get this many people. I hear the numbers are like 1,000 plus or 1,500 plus into one room. It's possible because the existence of this community in Hyderabad. So this is like a fantastic thing. I want to congratulate the community. So why you form and you may not be able to achieve, but as a group you can get much better results. So of course we are technology-based community, so we're going to leverage the heck of network and connectivity and then information sharing online. So physically it need not be present. The moment physical barrier remote, then the number can be huge. If the physical community can be like 5 people, 10 people like that. Now, and an online community can be like thousands of people. So what is the advantage in being part of a community? So it provides you the connection between your peers and industry and between the connection between academic institutes and students there and the industry. And then of course you can get the content which is relevant at any given time. So what you know, for example, as an engineering college or as a university, you have information. So suppose you deploy a platform technology, let's say 5 years ago. Along with that, you get some documentation and data, and the knowledge is that. Unless you are part of some kind of community, you cannot enhance your knowledge. You cannot know more stuff that is going on. So that is when we say industry relevant content, that's what we're talking about. Being on top of the current things. So how the industry is changing, where it's headed, and what are the key elements of that. So for example, if you look at the last 5 years, one thing you have to pick, let's say two things. XML web services, those are the two most important things that no matter what platforms, what operating systems, what tools, no matter what you use, these are the two most important things everyone needs to know. So you will pick that trend, being part of these kind of communities. And of course, developing contacts and then building projects. As I said, big projects are critical, so this will give an opportunity to figure out what is the collaborative thing that we could do and develop an interesting product, technology, idea, innovation. And then, for example, one of you guys come up with cool new ideas, then this is an opportunity to promote it and then get you visibility. And then, of course, when we talk about any community, it's about meeting people and making friendships and having a lot of fun. So in Microsoft, we have lots of technical communities, and then this is like if you go to Microsoft.com community, you can find lots of useful information. And then your topic specific or your interest specific communities you can find. So there are many different ways you can be part of the community, news groups. So in India Development Center itself, each one of my teams participates in the news groups relevant to their products, addressing customers' questions and things like that. So it's a common thing then across the board in Microsoft, product teams do. And then, of course, the newsletters and then DOTNET editions which share technical information, and then blogs, chatting. So the whole idea of any of these means is to share knowledge. So these are various different technologies that are available. So as you can see, .NET user group in Hyderabad is student community, and then it's grown so fast, it's incredible. And I was really surprised when I heard that we have so many people already part of this community. And from so many different colleges, and it may not be restricted to one city, or it can be across the board from later. I mean, if you started with Hyderabad, then more people can join from other places too, in Andhra. You guys are showing the leadership from here. And then, so anything can be driven by having ambassadors who promote the importance and the advantage of the whole concept of community. And we have 4 great ambassadors of Microsoft who are making this happen, and this is an amazing thing. And so bottom line is, the goal of this community is to help you guys realize your potential. And then this is one of the mediums through which people like me and other distinguished guests here who can share their knowledge and information, and this community is enabling this. So, and here is the website for that community, and if you're not already part of it, so please join, and you will benefit and the community will benefit. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, sir. We shall now have talks by some of our esteemed chief guests.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, especially with such a young, dynamic audience. And my thoughts go back to when I was in engineering college, and I wish we had the ability to form communities like this. So I think you're all part of something that is pretty phenomenal, especially in the context of Indian engineering colleges. I personally have not seen or heard of such a large community being formed when you're still in college. And I think that bodes well for the future for all of you. So congratulations to all of you who have played a role, and for all of you for being here. The other thought that came to my mind was one of my responsibilities when I was in Oracle, to understand what happens in the community. And MSDN has evolved a long way since that time. Srini just talked about the different communities you have on the web. The web was just coming alive. And I think, again, what you all are part of is how communities just build on themselves. And the fact that you're all from multiple engineering colleges, not just one, is a testament to the fact that communities build themselves. I just thought I'll share with you a few things that I wish had known when I was in your position in college, as well as in the early years of professional life. And I think Srini covered a number of those, so I'll keep it very simple. The first aspect, as all of you are engineering students and are looking to build technical skills, is to build the right foundation for writing code and for working on big projects. And one aspect that never changes in software is the for, if, then, else logic and the for, next logic. It never changes, irrespective of the language, irrespective of the platform. That logic is very important. So make sure that you are masters of that logic. Rather than becoming masters in one particular language or 5 particular languages rather, focus on any one language, but make sure you're master. The interesting thing is, I hope your professors aren't listening to this, but how many of you copy tutorials from each other from time to time? Just raise your hands. Come on. Yeah, see now the hands are going up, right? Reusable code is very important in software. So something you're told not to do in college, you'll be expected to do. Only for writing better code and for time to market. But do not copy tutorials, because if you don't master the if then else logic, you will not be able to even use reusable code later, right? So focus on doing your own tutorials, but focus on the logic and build that foundation for yourselves. Very important, because reuse things quickly. And that's going to make a big difference in your career, because that's something that you will do not only in college today, but you will do as you move forward. 5 years into your professional life, 10 years into your professional life, 20 years into your professional life, the ability to learn new things always is very, very important. And in the world of technology, there will always be new things. And then you will have to learn how to marry the old and the new. You will have to take something that is old and convert it to the new standards. So any language you learn will always help you. I'll share a personal experience. My first year in professional life, I was working on Oracle technology, and then I was told that now you have to work on COBOL. And I threw a fit in the office. I told my boss I will resign, I will go look for another job, I will not work on COBOL. COBOL is 1970s. It's history. I do not want to go back into history. And then someone sat me down and said, listen, if you don't do this, you can leave right away. And then it hit me that, what was I trying to do? I was trying not to learn something that I thought was below my dignity to learn. And of course, what dignity did I have with 1 year of work experience? Not much. But I thought I had, because I thought I was a good coder. So, personal lesson, do not bring that ego into your work. Do not worry about what technology you're working on. If you're working on solving the right problem, and right now, conversions of programs from COBOL to other languages, conversion of programs from Unix to .NET are an opportunity to work on something that is yesterday's technology. You're building a competitive advantage for yourself. By doing that, not only will you have job security moving into the future, because every part of your experience will always help you. And finally, I'll just say, don't go with the herd. If you believe you're really good at C and C++, but other people are going towards .NET, focus on where you're good at. A lot of system software is still written in C and C++. A lot of application software is written in multiple languages, and .NET is a key emerging platform. But do not go where your friends are going, because that's where the job is and that's where the money is. You will always find the right job if you have the right skills and you have the ability to learn, and you keep that ability to learn, and make sure you focus on learning, and make sure you focus on doing what you're asked to do, as well as coming up with thoughts of how to do it better. That's what will help you in life. It's a pleasure to see that so many of you are learning the new technology .NET. when you go into the professional workforce, you'll also see that there is a lot of legacy that has been developed over the last 50 years in IT, and you will have to learn and be a part of that. So wish you all the best for the future, wish you all the best for this particular event, and hope to see you all be very successful in life.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Rohit Kumar, for your address. I now request Mr. J.A. Chowdhury to come on to the dais and share some of his thoughts.
At the outset, I would like to congratulate the DOTNET community group for becoming a part of a huge community. I see a sea change in Hyderabad, the way we are evolving, the maturity levels are increasing. I remember when we started the Software Technology Parks of India office in Hyderabad in the year 1989. In fact, during that time we were not having even one internet link in Hyderabad because we were not having the high-speed data communication links. After setting up the Earth Station in Jubilee Hills, we were the first ones in the country to have a website using Mosaic software, or people in the STP office, they first developed a website. During that period, I used to go to several conferences, mostly in the US, to try to attract the companies to come to set up their development facilities in India. Most of the time, we used to encourage them to come because of the cost advantage. Those days, I think the Indian salaries compared to the US salaries, huge cost advantage was there. So we were telling that companies will get more than 10 to 12 times the cost advantage if you set up your operations in India. Apart from that, of course, the availability of the skilled manpower. Those days, we were not mentioning about the quality of our engineers. But within no time, many Indian companies like Wipros, Infosys, Satyams, they got SESCMM level 5 certification. The world started recognizing that India is not only good for a lot of talent and cost advantage, but they're also having a lot of quality engineers. Earlier, most of the Indian companies were into services, very low-end kind of IT services. Today, many companies like Microsoft, they set up their product development facilities in Hyderabad and other places in India. So many multinational companies, they are setting up their R&D outsourcing operations in India. Even in our company, we do the complete product lifecycle development operations for developing a very complex chipset for the consumer electronics market. So today, the dynamics of this industry have changed, gone through a big transformation. Recently, I was participating in one seminar conducted by NASCOM on human resources, the issues and problems faced by the IT industry. All the speakers were talking about the problems related to retention, problems related to hiring, the stability of the companies. So today it's very important for us to retain the competitive advantage. In fact, recently when we did some compensation survey, I was amazed to see how the Indian companies are giving salaries, raising salaries every 6 months once. In fact, when we gave offer letter to an engineer working in Bangalore, with just 3.5 years of experience, we offered him about 12 lakhs per annum. He said, no, I want offer 17 lakhs per annum for a 3.5 years experienced person. They are getting that kind of salaries in India. So today, we are not looking at only hiring from local companies in Hyderabad or Bangalore or local institutions like IITs or IIT. In fact, we are participating in job fair being held at San Jose. So why I am giving you all these incidents, the IT industry, the kind of experience that what is happening today. Today, you have to face the global competition. If you have to face the global competition, cost advantage, as I told you, today there is no cost advantage. We are almost on par, maybe 30% off by US salaries with the current compensation levels that most of the Indian IT companies are giving to the software community. So if that is the case, why should I look at only the institutions located in Hyderabad or in India? I can go as well to China or European countries or USA and hire the best possible because I am giving the best salaries in India. So whatever Srini Kukulu mentioned, even Rohit mentioned, today we expect the productivity levels of the students coming out of these colleges on par with anybody coming out of any of the colleges, best colleges all over the globe. But unfortunately today in India, most of the education institutions, they concentrate exam-centric kind of education. They don't concentrate on the knowledge-centric education. I was part of the think tank formed by the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh for the HR. In fact, Srini also participated in one of the meetings. We have told them clearly that current education system is no good for the industry. As Srini was mentioning, we want more practical exposure to the students. We want more fundamentals to be taught to them while they are in the colleges. We want them to be productive from day one. We don't have time to take them and train them for 4 to 5 months, which we have been doing all these years, so that they can be productive after 6 months. Because we are getting students from all over the globe. We are going and recruiting places wherever their good talent is available, because the compensation is not an issue today. When we are paying so much of salary to the Indian agents, so why should we compromise on some of these aspects? So it's very important for all of you to enhance your skill set, fundamentals, stress on the fundamentals, the knowledge, and the communication issues, because today we are developing the products here. For product development, you have to work in a community. If you have to work in a community, communication skills plays a very, very important vehicle. So my advice to all of you, and I'm sure the people who are present here, they are already aware of it. There's a reason why you joined in a community like Donors, and where you can share the knowledge, where you can be part of that technical community. You see, knowledge sharing is very, very important. All of you are aware the power of the network. If you're an individual, you'll not be able to contribute, you'll not be able to learn so much. If you're part of a community, big community, the kind of knowledge that what you can get is phenomenal. So I congratulate and thank all the volunteers who are part of this big community. You are going in the right track. This is the only way for you. Don't depend on what you get in your engineering college. You have to go 10 steps ahead, because you have to compete on a global scale. Don't think that you have to compete based on what your other college students are doing here. Project work is very, very important. Through project work, you can learn a lot of practical things. We have been getting a lot of requests from the local engineering colleges for allowing their students to come and do projects with us. Whenever we talk to the students, how much time you have only 3 months, and there are 6 students have to do this project. So by the time they understand what we do, 3 months are gone. Where is the time for them to do a project in our company? So we refuse to give projects to such students. So we have been telling the government of Andhra Pradesh that you have to introduce a new scheme, maybe BE honors, BTech honors, where it is not theory that is more practice oriented. Give more time for the students to work on the projects. So we are suggesting, in fact, there is a meeting sometime next week with the Honorable Chief Minister, where we are going to insist on introducing some of these new schemes. See, unless it is a practice-oriented education, take for example the medical education, the teaching hospital model. So wherever there is a medical college, there are associated hospital. In fact, there is a mandatory for them to have minimum 100-bedded hospital. The reason is the students, the faculty, all those people, they have to get the practical knowledge, going to the patients, learning what are the issues. Whereas in engineering education in India, there are two isolated compartments. The universities, they don't know what's happening in the industry. Industry, we don't know what's happening in the university. That education is not going to make you globally competitive. So we are trying to recommend some of these aspects to the government of Andhra Pradesh. I hope they will listen to our advice. But more than that, you're all students, you're looking for your future careers. So you have to be more proactive. Whenever there is an opportunity to learn more new things, you should get into part of that community, start learning those things. Today, there's so much of demand, shakeout happens. The people who have got knowledge, people who have got same productivity levels on par with any international employee working anywhere in the globe, you'll be measured with those parameters. So if you don't have good knowledge, if you don't have good skill set, if you don't have good communication, whatever the 7 steps Sri Nikopulu was mentioning in his presentations, I think you have to imbibe those qualities. Those 7 qualities are going to be very, very important if you want to succeed in this area. But there's a lot of future for the country. We see a lot of technology companies coming to India. A lot of technology startup companies are already in Bangalore, Hyderabad. So you'll have a lot of opportunities even to become an entrepreneur, start your own technology company. But these opportunities are there for people who have got the right skill set, the right knowledge. So with this, I wish all of you a very good future. And I see many products made in Hyderabad coming to the world market soon.
I'm really excited, and this is really touching for me because there are multiple things attached to it, and I'm really at loss of words on how to really address this and get started with the technical session. Before I really talk to you about technology, what .NET is all about, I want to really share some of my personal experiences and my own initiatives towards community and how I have been into this. So this is a great thing. The backdrop looks great with DNUX.NET. It's .NET User Group Hyderabad student. I hope all of you got what exactly it is by this time. But forming communities is not new in Hyderabad. I am from Hyderabad and I have done my BS Electronics from Usmania. This was back in 98-99 when I graduated. And at that time there was no official Microsoft community which was supported, backed and sponsored by Microsoft. We were all very interested in clearing some of the Microsoft certifications, and I still remember one of the first communities in Hyderabad was formed not in Shilpakala Vedika or in cheap auditorium of Cyber Towers, but in one of the Iranian hotels in Nalgonda. Right? I'm not kidding, that's true. Because a bunch of guys who were pretty excited to understand more about Microsoft certification and to learn Visual Basic got together in one of the small-time Irani joints, discussed how to go about it, how to prepare, what are the books, how do we buy them, how do we share them, put deadlines and start syncing up once in a while. Well, for me it was a community and there was no branding. I don't know, it would have been called Irani.net. I'm not sure. But at the time we were just not worried about branding or anything, but the spirit of community was sparked at that time. And things got better, and I had an opportunity to join Microsoft, work for Microsoft, and eventually I'm glad that I have taken up this role as academic evangelist. Now, I'm sure you must have met me, or I must have interacted with you on multiple occasions, but I want to spend little time explaining you what I do as an academic evangelist, because this is a designation, is a title that you don't normally come across the industry, or you don't meet evangelists very often. So at this time, let me ask you, how many of you ever attended a session from Microsoft on .NET? Can I say raise of hands? Also on the top? Though I can't see you. Yeah, now it's better. Okay, there are very few of you. Probably 20% of the audience got a chance to attend a Microsoft event. Well, I have been interacting with DNETs on a regular basis. I am constantly in touch with few of the student ambassadors, and I'm really excited, and it gives me a great feeling to work closely with those individuals who has a lot of passion, just not to grow individually or personally, but to make others feel great and also help them grow. So as an academic evangelist, that's my key objective, that's my goal. I basically travel across multiple universities, multiple cities. I encourage students to form communities. I help them demystify some of the .NET technologies, though not very complex, but I help them understand better. And I just love seeing that spark in the students' eyes when I really talk about technology and the importance or the power that technology has on the community and on the society. So as an evangelist, I work with academic communities, including faculty members, including students, including many other decision makers, trying to articulate and explain the concepts of .NET and also various the Microsoft technologies. And today it's a great feeling for me, because probably I am addressing an audience of this scale for the first time in Hyderabad. And it gives me a great pleasure to be here. So I'm going to talk to you about a few things. Definitely I'm going to help you understand .NET better, certainly. And before that, I also want to share a few things that my team does, that I am personally involved in. Some of the initiatives for you, some of the initiatives for your faculty members, for your colleges, and for the entire DNETs community. Right? So before I really get started with a technical presentation and talking more about some of the jargons like common language runtime, just-in-time compilation, mobility and all that, I want to spend very little time explaining why we need a community and also how to get started about it. Well, this all came in from just one thought. Basically, that's our vision, and everyone in Microsoft works towards that. So, when Microsoft decided to start this program, start this initiative of empowering academic communities, we knew that we had a great challenge ahead of us. And that great challenge is basically, how do we get all of you realize the potential? How do we ensure that all of you get the benefits of technology, and how do we let us achieve this dream, realize the dream, achieve the goal that we have? So we brainstormed and we came up with a model. That model was basically to identify some of those students from this audience, or these colleges, this community, work with them closely, make them empowered, and ensure that they go back and give it to their own community, give it to their class, their section, their department, their campus, their college, their community, their town, and so on. So we came up with a program called Microsoft Student Champ. I'm not sure how many of you are student champs here. Can I see a raise of hands, those of you who are student champs? I know the champs are extremely busy focusing on this event and making this happen the way it is happening now. I really appreciate that. But those of you who are very new to this program, how many of you are hearing this term for the first time, a student champ? Well, there are many hands now. Right. So a student champ is basically an individual who is empowered by Microsoft to disseminate information, to learn more and make it available to his community, or to be precise, to his college. So what we have basically done is we have asked faculty members and the head of the departments to nominate a highly passionate, energetic individual. May not be great in academics, we are not looking at toppers, but those who has the capability to run events and to evangelize and to excite people, and also to channelize and siphon that great energy that he carries across to all of you, right? So this student champ is nominated by the college. Microsoft is not really involved in that. So once we get the nomination, college, typically from an engineering college or an MCA college. So how many of you are from the engineering background, second years, third years? Something to do with engineering, right? How many of you are from MCA? Wow, there is an equal proportion of that. Okay, excellent. So currently, okay, actually the light is so much glaring, I can't see the actual thing. So if I'm inaccurate, please pardon me. Possibility. Now you get an opportunity to interact with Microsoft directly, and you get some goodies in terms of CDs, software, books and so on, and we expect you to share it with your friends and your students back in your campuses. Now at the same time, every student champ is not the same. There are few .NET club in another college, and they also help Microsoft to get a student champ in those colleges where there is no presence. So these student champs who put in more work and drive their passion towards more community-driven initiatives, they slowly graduate towards a program which is called Student Ambassador. Now, a Student Ambassador